What's going on, bro? How's everything, man? I
I
think
can't complain.
I think today I want to get into something juicy. Talk about maybe some dog breeding horror stories. Some I know I got a few stories we could talk about, and I know you you
I just
definitely.
had one this week we could talk about.
This episode is sponsored by the Beast of the East Dog Show. Come join us and see some of the best dogs in the country, meet world-renowned breeders. There's going to be working events, 2 ABKC sanctioned shows, and so much more. November 4th, 2023 at 103,000 Courthouse Road, Chesterfield, Virginia. Don't miss the event of the year. We'll see you there.
Like,
Oof.
I had a dog who swallowed a toy,
Oh
but it
man.
wasn't a big toy. Thank God. Thank God it wasn't a big toy. It was like he had chewed the knot off of one of those ropes, and he swallowed the whole rope, the whole knot.
Oh
So you know what I'm saying. A lot of people, they get really scared. So I think if you talk to any veterinarian, all right, let's start what we talked about first
yeah,
and
yeah.
foremost. We are not veterinarians. Me or Angel, neither one of us are veterinarians. We've never been to school for veterinarian medicine, so please don't think that we're veterinarians. What we are telling you guys is stuff that we've learned over the last 20 years of doing dogs, or the last 15 years of doing dogs, whatever.
100%.
Fuck it, even in the 10 years. I don't care what you want to say. You're going to come across some shit that's going to happen, and you're going to have to figure it out
Yeah.
because it might be a Saturday or a Sunday something happens. It might be a holiday that something happens. It might be anything that you can't get to a vet right here, right now. It might be a financial restriction. Like, let's just be honest. Sometimes we don't have the money to do an emergency exploratory surgery that's going to cost you $2,500. You know what I mean?
100%.
So with that being said, I had a dog. I noticed that he was acting a little funny. All right. First day, I put his food. He didn't eat it. Second day, I was a little fishy because he's really food driven. I immediately put him into what I call ICU, or, I put him in the same thing they do at the vet's office. They put him in a steel cage. I mean, you've been to a vet's office.
Well, let's backtrack. So remember what we were talking about. So what led you to believe that he was, that he
Something
needed?
was off. So the first thing was he didn't eat his food, and he's very food driven. So I was like, all right, well, what's up with this? He's not eating his food. This is the
Yeah.
second day. The same food's in there from yesterday. First thing I did was I took his temperature. No fever, but he was a little lethargic. So I said immediately, let me get him something that a dog would normally eat. So I had some leftover chicken from the night before. I gave him some chicken. He didn't eat it. So I'm like immediately knowing something's not right. Now it's a Saturday afternoon here in Virginia. Listen, after 12 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, Monday's the next time you're going to see a vet.
But the temperature thing is huge because
I took his temperature.
You said he had it was low or high?
He had normal. It was 101.7.
Oh, it was normal.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, and if people don't know, fevers theoretically start at 102.9. So 103 and above is considered a fever. But if they're if she just had a litter of puppies, she can be as high as 103.5 because of the stress.
Yep.
And as long as it doesn't stay there for, an excessive amount of time, like say 12 hours. I don't know the textbook answer though. You know what I mean? Yeah. As long as they don't stay there for an excessive long amount of time, it's okay to be around the 103 after giving birth, because you can imagine the pain, the stress, and everything. I can dig it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, if you have 103.5 after a C-section, you got a little bit of a problem. She didn't go into no labor. She woke up that way.
Yep.
So for him, I quarantined him. I put him in the shed. I put him in a crate. Same thing the vet does. He takes his temperature. Boom. I gave him some, more desirable food. He didn't eat it. So I was like, all right, well, cool. It's Saturday afternoon at like 4 o'clock. Being working at the vet before, we've given castor oil or cod liver oil, whatever you want to call the crap. I gave him so much every 4 to 6 hours for a whole 24 hours. 24 hours later, it popped it out.
You gave it to him orally or through the rectum?
I gave it orally. You can up the old.
Yeah.
But I mean, that ain't something I'm trying to do. So I just gave it to him orally.
Yeah. I usually
gave
do both. I'll do both.
No,
like,
you can give them a suppository. You can actually do a suppository with it, but I didn't do that. I gave it to him orally, and after 12 hours of that, he passed it. And then Sunday afternoon, he was eating normally. You know what I mean? He had a little bit of loose stool for a while because of all the the laxative I gave him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Gotcha.
was fortunate enough that it was small enough for him to pass it. That's the same thing that they would do with the vet's office. The only thing that I didn't have was an X-ray machine, so they would X-ray and see how big the blockage was. That's what they would do.
Gotcha. Yeah, and they do the same thing. I guess if it was like if there was the dog had swallowed socks or anything like that.
But some of the main things that I physically worked and we've done exploratories. Socks are a big one. Small toys are a big one. Underwears are big. And cats, it's gonna fuck people up. Hair ties. I've cut 1,000 hair ties out of a cat, bro. Big old balls of them, man.
Wow.
They're like getting knocked up. And I got newborn puppies here, man. That's why I'm down here.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But that's the thing. If you would just recognize the symptoms and treat the symptoms, that's exactly what a veterinarian does. He treats the symptoms. So the first thing he would probably try to do is make him vomit. Can he vomit it up? No, he can't vomit it. So it has to come out that side. Let's see if we can make it come out that side. We'll give him a laxative, a certain amount of hours with the laxative. The laxative didn't work, or they'll do a barium study. You know what I mean? They'll give him the barium and then do the X-ray to see if it stops or does it go past. The large mass is what they would do.
Interesting.
So they would do X-rays before the barium study, then do X-rays during the barium studies, and then after the barium studies to see if it goes all the way through the blockage. So if it gets through the blockage, 9 times out of 10, he can blow it out. Wow. But that's not always the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've seen dogs give birth to some bad things back there. I've seen washcloth come out before.
Oh my God.
So, but you have to identify the traits, and not the traits, the symptoms, and treat the symptoms. That's all that's all the vets do. It's all doctors do. You know what I mean? You tell them everything that's wrong. Hey, he's not eating. Hey, he might have something in his stomach. Okay, well, you can do most of that at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless he can't pass it. Now, if he didn't pass it or didn't eat past the third day, yeah, I would have taken him personally to the vet, because now he's going to get necrotic.
Yeah.
The bottom half of his intestines can start dying because it's not getting any blood flow or oxygen, or not oxygen, but blood flow.
Exactly. And then yet again, the tools necessary to be able to, try to get the dog to, and a laxative prime example is something that you could easily go buy at a CVS, at a Walmart, whatever. I mean, you can
get them at the dollar store.
Yeah, exactly. Like
mine was oral, like liquid. I think it's cod liver oil or something like that. I forget what it's called.
Yeah, exactly. So you could just easily buy that yourself. Like I'll just go to like a CVS and I'll typically just get like a mineral oil. I grab mineral oil.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. Mineral oil. My fault.
Okay. Yeah.
The clear stuff. It's like in a big jar like this. Yeah, mineral oil. That's exactly what it was.
Exactly. And you can get it at CVS and it says laxative on it. It's just something that you can easily, quickly do. Especially like you said, vet's closed, whatever the case may be. So I'll mention mine real quick. A little bit of a horror story is I had a cone, right? So the person was asking me, and I've been wanting to do an episode on this because of the fact that, like I said, I see this more times than you would think, Chris. And like it's actually pretty disturbing. So I had a cone, right? I went to go check out the puppies, right? The guy didn't live too far. And when I looked at the puppies, their skin was like, it looked like, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it. Like it was like the fur was wet and hard. So immediately I'm looking at this and I'm like, have you been, like cleaning the puppies? And the guy was like, well, I don't clean puppies. You're not supposed to wash them until I think he said something like, 3 weeks or something like that, like a bath, like bathing them with shampoo and all that stuff. And I was like, well, I mean, yeah, but if you see that, well, from what I remember,
if they have coccidia, the remedy for coccidia is to be ideally given slight wipe downs and chlorhexidine.
Well, exactly. So that's what I was gonna get to, is the fact that yes, okay, maybe you can't use like a full blown dog shampoo, because I think that the puppy tier list, the youngest that it goes to is like 4 weeks. But I'm like, you could use baby wipes. You could do, like, and the material that he had was it was like those mats, like those workout mats. So it really didn't absorb the
so they were basically waddling their own piss.
Exactly.
And the thing with that is, what people don't, newborn puppies, for an example, just because you brought this to the people's attention, if anybody knows what septicemia is, newborn puppies can get septicemia that way because their umbilical cord is still open at birth. So if they're waddling on their own feces or their own urine, if this is an open wound directly into their organs, they can get septicemia.
And yet again, like I said, it just leads to I've seen so many times in like DMs, people ask me questions about the puppies, and I'll look at the puppy and it looks, like I said, wet and hard, and I'm like, are you making sure that you're I know it sounds a little juvenile, but it's the truth. Like, you need to make sure that your puppies are staying clean. You know what I'm saying?
It's, for me, it's not juvenile, but it's, if any certified vet tech would get on here with us, and they'll tell you that the human body is very, very similar to the canine body. And I don't mean as in what everybody thinks, but they, the same numbers are. If it has a white blood cell that's elevated, same thing with a human. If we can get septicemia the same way a dog can get septicemia. They can overheat the same way we can overheat. They take the rectal exam just like they take a rectal exam on a person that's overheating. So it is very similar. So if you have a newborn child, you clean it, right?
Yeah.
Wipe it down. You're not giving it a full-on out bath. That's exactly what the doctor tells you. Keep the belly button from getting hard, keep it oiled up, or I forget what they say, up and clean, and then you can sponge bath the rest of the kid. The same thing applies for a newborn puppy.
Exactly.
It has to be on clean material. But you also have to make sure that your mom is clean too, because they are sucking on her. If she's dirty, they're going to be dirty. If she has, bad mouth and say it's all infected in here, has abscesses in here, she has, for lack of a better understanding, she has an infection and she's cleaning them. That's what people don't understand. It's not just one puppy. It's the whole system that you have to make sure is clean.
Exactly.
And so, I just had somebody ask me, hey, when do your puppies start walking? Well, my puppies walk about 2 to 3 weeks old because I don't keep them extremely fat. I make sure that, like you said, I use bar mats, the one with the little circles in them.
Okay.
And at like 2.5, 3 weeks old, I put it in there. We have 3 of them, and I rotate them, and I soak them in the tub with bleach water every time I take one out. It fucks my tub up. My wife gets mad as hell at me, but I'm in there scrubbing. I even bought a thing that I hooked to the drill just to clean up.
Nice.
Because she yells at me all the time. But it has to be done because, like you said, if you're not cleaning them properly, they can get stuff like puppy strangles. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll give you another example. I mean, this is what happened in this particular story was when I saw the puppies. I mean, literally, it was, and remember, so they were using the workout mats and they were using heat lamps. The stuff practically cooked on the puppy's skin. It looked crazy. It took weeks and weeks and weeks to try to get rid of it. And like, I mean, I wound up taking the puppies and like using I didn't know as much as I knew now, but I was using crazy amount of like aquaphors and stuff like that, and just trying to get their skin to like heal because it was just that bad. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I definitely it comes down to your whole system. Yeah, it definitely comes down to your whole system.
Well, the other thing is, if you're a clean person, you don't want dirty, stinky puppies right next to you or in your living room, or you know what I mean? Like, come on, man. I've seen people doing puppies in a lot of different places. I'm literally in my guest room and there's a litter of puppies right here. I don't know if you guys can hear them, but there's a litter of puppies in here, and we clean in here 3 to 4 times a day.
Yeah, no, I can't hear them. And
there's a mop bucket right here, like legitimately a mop bucket right here, to where we mop it all up. And we fresh water, we do underneath of her. We do it just like you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to keep them clean, just like you would keep a newborn baby clean. When it shits on itself, you clean it.
Exactly. And I mean, literally, like this is my bedroom right here. A prime example is I got to get the whelping box set up. It's going right there. They're going to be right here in my bedroom, So yeah, I get it 100%, but like I said, just to those people who think mama's going to do everything for you, you do this is one thing that I learned from my mentor is like when you're picking up the puppies, it should always be for a purpose. Don't let it be just because, oh, look how beautiful this puppy is, and I put it back down. No, if you're picking it up, take some time and like examine the feet, examine the umbilical cord, do something, you should always be aiming to try to do something to make sure that ensure that your litter is healthy and in the right condition, So like I said, I've seen that with the hardened piss on the puppies more times than I could even say, So
Over here, buddy.
let's talk about another horror story, right? This is one that you told me.
We can go on about puppies. I've had one. I remember the very first time I ever seen it. It's called puppy strangles. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I was like, ew. Did the mom bite the puppy? This thing was swole. The whole lymph node under the ear was just swollen and sticking out. And I was freaked out. I was like, ew, did the mom bite this thing or what?
Yeah.
I took it to the vet because I'd never seen it before. And this is what this podcast is for, because we understand that first time I seen puppy strangles, people are like, damn, bro, what's that? They didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was. And I've been doing this a long time. And I rushed the dog to the vet, or the puppy to the vet. And I was like, look, what's this? They were like, ooh, that looks painful. They touched it and the puppy would squeal bloody murder, and find out it was puppy strangles. And boom, it was an easy fix between me and the vet. We just put it on prednisone and I think amoxicillin, liquid amoxicillin. Boom, we were cool. But when you don't know what that is, huh?
You drained it, right?
No, we left it alone.
Oh, wow.
It went down by itself.
Wow.
Now I've had them to where they've ruptured. I've had since then I've seen it a few other times, and I've had them where they ruptured and they oozed out. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But that's it. I want to tell you, strangles is an autoimmune thing, and you just got to stop the swelling. So like I have liquid prednisone on hand for that. You know what I mean?
Got you.
And then it takes down the swelling. You know what I mean? And I've had it in a while, but we've had it quite a bit.
Wow. No, yeah. I mean, 100%.
The first time you see it, that shit will fuck your head.
My partner,
you got a big old lemon head looking thing.
My partner had it with one of the puppies. So then he's like, "Yo, you got to see this. This and that." And we did a little bit of homework online and stuff like that, and that's what we found out what it was. But that, I mean, it looks. Yeah, when you see that, you're almost like you don't know what to do, because it's just like
it gets bigger and bigger, and then it starts crusting over with pus because it's slowly leaking out, and it's granulating and hardening up. Yeah. And it will, like, you're like, yo, what in the hell's going on here?
Another one is I just did a video. Literally, I just dropped the episode last week on neonatal conjunctivitis.
Yeah, I seen it.
Eye swelling up, filled with pus.
And you're right, it will make a dog blind if you don't get it out.
Yeah, and same thing. I mean, literally, when I first saw it the first time, I freaked out. I was like, you're lost for words, And like I said, went to the vet, winded up finding out that you could get terramycin easily over the counter, and you could just really open up that eye and do it at home easily,
Listen, don't tell them people opening that eye is easy. The younger it is, it's hard to open that eye.
I said in the video, it took me
open that thing up. It's not easy when they're really, really young. If you get it under 10 days, good luck. That eye is hard to open.
Yeah,
when they over 10 days, it's a little bit easier because the seal has already been busted, because they've already semi opened their eyes. But eyes normally open around 10 days of age. Mm-hmm. So if the puppy's like 4 days old, opening that eye is not easy, bro. Yeah. Same thing in cats. My wife breeds cats, and man, when they get it really bad, it's like really common. Yeah, it's really common in cats. And man, trying to open that eye is like, golly, this shit is not easy. But the warm compresses, man, it's not fun, man.
Yeah.
I've seen it. See, my major issue, because I live out in the country, is coccidia in puppies. And that's why I like keeping them in an enclosed area, because coccidia has a smell. And as soon as you walk in that room, you know that those puppies have it. It's like that really wet penny smell, that metallic smell.
So let me ask you, do you have any other than identifying with the smell and stuff like that, do you have any way that you typically will will test for a coccidia versus a giardia or anything?
Well,
like
for
that?
me, it's something just that we've seen. You've noticed that your puppies are really greasy feeling. They feel
Mhm.
greasy, and their stool changes color. It gets a little on the pale side.
Okay.
Um, and then that smell. I mean, that smell is notorious. Like, woof. You know what that smell is. You know what I mean? As soon as you walk in a room, it's hi, coccidia. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
there's no, and you'll notice because they're puppies, they'll get greasy.
Okay.
And the puppies start getting greasy feeling. And
Gotcha.
a lot of people ask me, hey man, I got, greasy ass puppies and the poop is a little light. I immediately already know what that is. Coccidia, like here, bro. You need
Gotcha.
this ASAP.
Got you. So, cause I'm actually, I wanna, cause I showed you I have a parasitology book. So
Oh,
I'm pretty sure if you do a flotation test, you can identify, what it may be. So that's something. I mean, hey, maybe we'll do a follow up on here and see how the success that I have with it. But that's I want to learn how to do the flotation test, so then we don't have, so that we can identify parasites on our own, easily at home or something.
yeah. That would be dope because a lot of
Right.
people can't identify it. We just use broad spectrum. And then if we don't need it, we've built up an immunity. We'll just say pyrantel or something, or safeguard is what you would use for some of them, or panic cure. And if you don't need it, you're building up an immunity for that puppy on it. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. No, definitely. I see that actually, like I see a lot of people kind of more so the the vets that I've spoken to, like there's a vet that I've spoken to at the university, and that's exactly what she says is like that's one of the issues that they deal with is the tolerances, because then now they have to come up with something else that's a little bit,
A concoction a lot
stronger
of
or
times.
affects it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah.
A lot of people, I I'll be the first to admit that I was one of those people for a long periods of time. I've been breeding dogs since '96. So my first few years, I had people say, "Oh, just give it Baytrue. Oh, give it Baytrue, Enrofloxacin, whatever you want to call it. Just give it Baytrue. It'll fix everything." Now the problem came that now time I had a female who, when she gave birth, we cut her open. She had a Pio, a mummified puppy, and a live puppy all at the same time.
Wow.
And she had built up an immunity to enrofloxacin because I had given it to her before and not finished it, or when it wasn't necessarily what she needed, I gave it to her anywhere because it's not a cheap drug, but it's an easy fix because you don't know what it is. So you just top of the line, just give her the best there is and it will clear everything. Then when it came time for her to try to get well, she had an immunity to it. So that was the
Mm.
problem. So I've learned to, start lower, start with a cephalexin or a clavamox or a doxycycline or something like that, or an
Yeah,
amoxicillin, not necessarily go straight to Baytril.
got
Because now, people have to understand Baytril's the top of the food chain. If Baytril's not going to fix it, you should look. I
you.
mean,
Yeah. Wow.
nothing else they got. There is nothing, anything stronger for dogs.
Well, I thought you had mentioned at one point when we were talking there was like a cephalexin, but like it's strong. It's like
It's a
a,
third generation. It's called cepidoxime. But I mean, yeah, but that's the only difference between cephalexin and cepidoxime. It is stronger. Its half life is way better. That's what half life is when.
in comparison to cephalexin or Baytril.
No, they're both cephalexins. They're both
Yeah.
cephalexin is Gen 1, cepidoxime is Gen 3. I think it's Gen 3. Don't quote me on that, guys. But anyway, cephalexin, the half life, it wears out after 18 hours. So, where cepidoxime, I want to tell you, it's 24 hours. It wears out after 24 hours. So, you'll have your vets that sometimes they'll ask you, hey, are you going to give this every 12 hours? And you say no, and they're going to give you cepidoxime. Why? Because it has a half-life of 24 hours. So if you forget to give it at night, it's no big deal. You can give it in the morning. You're cool. You've covered yourself. Where
Got
cephalexin, I think the half-life is 18 hours. So if you don't give it at least every 12 to 18 hours, you have to start over every single time.
Mm.
But that's the other reason I believe why no dog can build up a resistance to it, because of the half-life in it. So
Gotcha.
that's the other thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a gift and a curse at the same time. But yeah, but cepidoxime is 3 times the price of cephalexin.
Mm. Okay.
When you can, even if I buy it in bulk, it's still 3 times the price of cephalexin.
Got you. Gotcha.
And I will say this, guys, I don't know what's going on, and I ain't no conspiracy theorist, but there's all of amoxicillin and clavamox all on back. No, amoxicillin and cephalexin, everything's on back order right now. I don't know what's going on, and I just talked to a good friend of mine that's a vet. They're legally only allowed to buy 10 bottles a month now.
Of
Either one. They're allotted 10 bottles a month max.
That's
Literally
crazy.
just got the text message this morning.
Wow.
So I don't know what the hell COVID number 19, maybe be COVID number 20 or something. I don't know. This one's cure is going to be cephalexin or something. I don't know. But I literally, I'll text it to you so you can see it. They
That's
allot
crazy.
10 bottles a month.
Wow.
And they can only order 2 at a time.
That isn't, I mean, how do they even, I mean, with the amount of dogs that they get into their clinics, I mean, how do, wow.
I don't know. I just read it. I got a text.
People's vet bills are going to be going up.
Yeah, because they're going to switch to cephaloxime. But I'm just telling you, literally, I bullcrap y'all not. Amoxicillin and clavamox and Metro right now is all on back order. Everything. It's all on back order right now.
Wow.
And the crazy part is he texted me this morning telling me that they can only order 10 bottles a month now. It's on allotment of 10 bottles a month where they can't exceed 10 bottles a month.
Is that like temporary or is that like, oh my,
wow. I don't know if it's to the end of the month or what.
Okay, so that's definitely not like indefinite that it'll be like moving forward they can only order 10 bottles.
I said it. Yes, cephalexin is on allotment. She can order 2 at a time and not to exceed 10 a month.
Wow.
I don't know what that's about.
Wow. I know my vet, they use a lot of that cephalexin and amoxicillin.
So that's why, I'm not into promoting anybody, you know what I mean, as far as meds or anything, but if you can get it, I'd highly recommend you get it right now. For some reason, it's something odd going on with that. Because that was usually one of the most easiest meds for us to get.
Yeah.
Little green, half and green pills, light green, dark green. Everybody had it on stock. Everybody has it on hand.
Wow.
I don't know.
Well, so now this leads me to another question that actually maybe we can get into, right? You maybe just think of this. What is your thoughts on fading puppy syndrome?
I do have it. One of the best articles I've ever read in my entire life about fading puppy syndrome on my website. And it breaks it down that fading puppy syndrome has, one of, I think it's 3 reasons. And, basically it's doomed from the beginning.
That's what I think it is, but yeah, keep going.
It could be parasites. It could be, it breaks it down. It's on my site. I promise you it is. You can read it. I'll send it to you. You can put it on your site. I did not write it. A veterinarian wrote it. I have no problem in sharing it. It is bar none the best article I've ever read on fading puppy. And it tells you what meds you can possibly use to stop fading puppy.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It's pretty dope. And it breaks it down.
Without knowing the cause, it's a little hard to try to treat it.
It could be anything from genetics, that the heart's not completely developed, lungs aren't completely developed, it didn't get enough surfactant. That's the chemical that the mom or however it comes to them, it's released for them to stop breathing inside of her and breathing oxygen on the outside. It basically seals their lungs. There's a lot of different reasons. It could just be poor health. It could be congenital. It could be genetic, just random different things. There's no rhyme or reason. There isn't one. That's the one thing people always want me to answer. And I physically, there isn't.
That's why it kind of drives me a little nuts. Cause like I'll see people talk about like you can use what's that stuff called? The colloidal silver for fading puppy syndrome. You can use what is it? Liver for fading
liver water. Syndrome. I've heard it. I've heard Pepto-Bismol. I've heard it all, bro.
I've even talked about using like plasma for fading puppy syndrome. I've talked about it, but I mean, honestly, coming like, as I've learned more and experienced more with my litters and so on and so forth, I think probably one of the leading causes, I don't even want to say fading puppy syndrome, but I think why people's puppies die within the first week, especially when their entire litters get wiped out. I think it's the timing. I think of the timing of the C-section in my community, particularly. I think it's the timing of the C-section. That's
Why don't they do reverse progesterones? If you do a reverse progesterone, you can get a lot closer to that number than you just guessing. Oh, I bred her this day. She ready in 60 days. I wouldn't do that.
well,
I would do a
vets are guilty of it
progesterone.
too. I mean, so I have a vet that's actually local to me, and I'm speaking from experience. I mean, I didn't know better at the time, but at the time, and this is many years ago, he told us to do a C-section at a 7. This is on an IDEX. He's like, "Oh, she's a 7. You know, you know what you're doing. You'll be fine." Did the C-section within the first week, the entire litter was wiped out. You know, yeah.
And was their skin really loose? Like the connective tissue wasn't there?
So
I've
no,
taken, we've done a C-section before. It's a true story. You can ask my wife. C-section, first puppy, too velvety. Sewed it back up.
wow.
We sewed that hoe back up. It's everything. Everything right back up. Took her home.
So the first one, there was nothing you could do for the first one though.
No, she was, I mean, you knew as soon as you picked it up, it was like picking up a Beanie Baby. The skin wasn't connected. It was really soft. And the
Wow.
connective tissue wasn't right. And you can tell because their skin isn't perfect. You know,
Yeah.
their hair doesn't, they look real sleek. Like they're about to be some kind of mink or something.
The
You know what
face,
I mean?
yeah, the face looked like a naked mole rat. Like it's just
Yeah. So
no fur on the
we sewed
face.
the dog, we sewed her back up and we put her on I don't remember what kind of antibiotic, because obviously we cut her open.
Yeah.
And we put her on some really good medicine, and we put her on liquid progesterone. And I think it was like we waited like 2 or 3 days, took her off the liquid progesterone and cut them back open. And I want to tell you, she had 6 more puppies in there, and out of the 6, 4 of them lived.
Wow.
But the 2 that came out, you could definitely tell that they probably should have, they were the reason that she went into labor. But the other thing is, sometimes the dogs go into labor prematurely. Just like, just like in humans, humans go into labor prematurely too, but they go into neonatal, little INCUs and stuff like that. They're getting oxygen. And a lot of people, they try to use oxygen on puppies, but they're using it wrong. You know what I mean? They're putting it really close to their mouth, and then they don't understand that they're burning them puppies' lungs. You know what I mean? That puppy's not used to that much oxygen.
Yeah, even just the amount of oxygen that they're pumping out of their machines. I mean, I'll see somebody with a 5-liter or a 10-liter, and they got on a full blown, full max on their incubator. I'm just like, it's not.
The thing is, you just want to keep their capillary response there. And just make them pink.
Yep.
You don't want to overdo it. Just keep them pink. And when you can cut back, because you definitely oxygen is almost like prednisone. You have to taper off of it.
Yep.
Same thing for you in the hospital. They don't just say, "Oh, he can breathe," and rip that shit out your nose.
Yeah, no, that's facts. Because I had a puppy who, she was turning purple on me, so on and so forth. I brought her to the vet. They put her on oxygen. She got pink. She was good. The same day, and I don't know at the time, because yet again, it was when I was really just starting out. And that's what made me realize the importance of oxygen, though, because it kept her alive at least. But when we took her off the oxygen the same day, because the vet was like, "Listen, I'm not open." Yep, exactly. I'm not open 24 hours. So you got to take her at the end of the day. When I took her, literally, she didn't even make it home from the car ride. And that's when I was like, you know what? I'm always going to make sure I have oxygen. But yeah,
you have to taper off oxygen. Unless if it doesn't need to be tapered off oxygen, more than likely it didn't need oxygen. You know what I mean? If it doesn't need to be tapered off of it, more than likely it didn't need it.
Yeah.
It just, it's like, hey, I'm cleaning.
What are your thoughts on people oxygen as a precautionary method? Like, some people.
I don't do it. I'm old school. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to keep every single puppy alive, because it's one of those things. If it's meant to be, it will be.
I think. Oh, I'm sorry.
For me, I've realized that the ones that I struggle to keep alive, when they grow up, they give me problems. That's me personally. They're the ones that you struggle to keep alive, and then when it grows up and you sell it, that customer is usually like, "Hey, this dog's messed up, or there's something that, or this, that, and the third." And I'm giving their money back or replacing the puppy. So over the last 20 years, when stuff like that happens, I'll let Mother Nature take its course. And
yeah, and that's another thing that I was going to say, right? So 2 things is the first thing with the oxygen. Maybe I differ in the sense that I think you can give oxygen if you want in the beginning, but I don't think it's all that necessary if they're healthy and you waited until the right time to do your C-section and you did a reverse and so on and so forth. But it needs to be low. I don't think giving a crazy amount of oxygen to a healthy litter of puppies is going to do all that much. But I realized, and probably exactly what you said, in the past probably like 5 years, I've realized that, you know what, some puppies, and this is a truth that a lot of people have to accept, is some puppies are going to be born with defects that you really kind of, you know, if a puppy's born with a bad heart, you know, there's not much you can try to do your care syrups and all the tips and tricks that everybody throws out there, but if a puppy's deformed internally and you can't see, you know, there's nothing you can do. There's no magic that's going to save that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know bad hearts. That the dogs tend to have problems staying cool, and they have problems warming up. You always see them shivering when it's cold outside. A lot of times those dogs have bad hearts or have heart conditions, not bad hearts, but have heart conditions. So for me, I have an incubator. Literally, I don't know. Boom, right there. If that don't save
cut
the
out,
puppy,
they couldn't see it. Could you show them again?
Oh, just a regular old incubator, nothing fancy. You know what I mean? If that don't fix it, bruh.
Keep the computer on the incubator, because every time I turned it on, it freezes. Just keep it on it for a second so they can see.
Yeah, I don't have no fancy one. That was like the very first ones that came out. I literally just turned that shit on 89, 90 degrees when they're first born. I leave them in there for 2 or 3 days just to make sure that they can, you know, stay warm, because newborn puppies cannot regulate their own body heat. Gotcha. So I think a lot of people think that they have fading puppy syndrome. If you want me to be honest, it's they either keep them way too hot and they dehydrate, or they don't keep them warm enough and they, you know, because the puppy can't regulate their own body heat. Yeah. So too hot is not good, and not warm enough is good. Not good either. If they're too hot, they'll dehydrate. And if dehydration leads to constipation, constipation leads to death, because they can't use the bathroom by themselves.
Let's just put it this way. I think, in my opinion, is with fading puppy syndrome, it's a term that they use for not knowing why the puppy died. There's a reason, but we just don't know. So to say that there's one thing out there that, you know, treats every reason as to why the puppy could die and you didn't know why, that kind of doesn't make sense, you know?
On that note that you just said, if you lose an entire litter, I highly recommend you get a necropsy on one of those puppies, because it's not just a freak accident. You take one of those dead puppies, you take it to the vet, and you tell them you want a necropsy, send it off to the nearest veterinarian college, and have them tell you exactly why they died, because I don't think that's a coincidence that every single puppy died, unless you took them out too young. And you'll know when you take them out too young, their skin don't look right. They look really velvety. But if they looked full term and everything looks healthy, I highly recommend, if you lose an entire litter, you take one of those puppies that passed and you take it to there and get it checked out, because if it happened once, I would probably tell you it's going to happen again. But if you know what it is, it could be something as stupid as, you know, there's a parasite that cattle get, and it doesn't show up in dogs, but it kills puppies. And then if the puppies get it from the mom, then puppies will drop dead. If you have, we'll say herpes, canine herpes, you know what I mean? That whole litter will die. Yeah. Your first litter will die from it. But if you don't know what it is, you're shooting in the dark. Listen, you've already lost. You might as well lose a little bit more to figure out, so you don't lose any more.
Exactly.
Yep. That's why I tell people, take that puppy to the vet and get a necropsy.
I had a friend. I mean, we were talking about it. I had a friend that had the E. coli issue. You know, sent one of the puppies out, found out what it was able.
It was E. coli, wasn't
it? No, not the one you're thinking of, but somebody else. Yeah. That guy, he never told me, but 100%. So guys, this was a dope episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was useful. We at the end of our rope now, because we're timed. So all right, guys, as always, appreciate y'all, and we'll see you guys on the next episode of the Dog Breeding Chronicles. All right, guys.
My man, peace.
All right.